really is.
Yeah.
But yesterday we really had it nice.
Oh my God, yesterday was amazing. I was just saying to Carla, I did tons of yard work yesterday, laid down 15 bags of mulch, and today it's my DIY project of painting that entire thing. So that's why I'm looking like I'm looking, because I'm just going to be a mess in about a half an hour. How was your week, Carla?
Good. I'm trying to make it so that I only see you and not both of us. How do I do
You
that?
can't do that.
Oh, okay.
I have the connection power.
I'd rather focus just on you instead of how I'm saying it or how my hair looks or any of that.
You're so funny. You know what? But
You know what I
that's
mean?
what. Yeah, I know. But you know what? It was so funny. And so for anybody that's coming on or watching, we talked about how, you know, my space is really for women 45 to 60, but it's more about an attitude than an actual chronological age. It's more about
It makes sense.
how we're accepting ourselves. Like, I was just thinking about this. I was giggling last night thinking about women who can't go to the nail salon and get acrylics. And I'm like, oh, thank God that's not me. But then I'm like, holy crap, I got to wax my own lip. Like, this is not going to be fun.
Have you ever done that?
No.
Do you know how to do it? Do you have the stuff? I've never.
No.
I'm not hairy, so I don't have. That's not one of my issues. I have many, but that's not one of them. Hi, Jody.
I seriously have issues, and my husband just said, you're going to do that? I'm like, yeah, but like, I think I might have to have a cocktail first, because Jody, we're talking about doing self-waxing, and I'm going to have to self-lip wax. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have a cocktail to actively choose to rip hair out of my body. But
it hurts, huh? It hurts.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's my one thing.
Okay, well, I'm not going to go any further with that. By the way, I don't see any 5 o'clock shadow.
That's because I'm so far back, but that's okay. But so that, you know, there's a couple things we're talking about today, and of course I'm going to turn it over to Carla. But it's, you know, the whole thing is having a sense of humility, like I said, but also having acceptance of yourself and not trying. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, we just have to let it go. I mean, let go and let God, right? I mean, that's what it's about. So I had to convince Carla into this, but I know my community will love this. We're going to start next month a series, right? We've been doing these, and we're getting better. I hope we're getting better. I think we're getting better. But spiritual awakening, right? And whatever that means to you, maybe it means getting back to God, or finding God for the first time, or just finding the spirit inside you, that higher power that's been guiding you through this. And after this is done, getting through. By the way, I do have maybe good news. There was an article in NPR, and I kind of believe NPR, and there was a really good study done out of Washington State University about when we might start reopening. And it was based on only one case per million. And they looked at each state and when that should be. And I have to say, Connecticut, they're saying June 10th. You know, even if there's light at the end of the tunnel, I can take that.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that today.
Yeah. So
but before we go there, I want to know what, if you know Allison, she gets on a thing. She gets an idea and then she drills down. So what has gotten you to drill down on spiritual awakening? What happened? Something came up.
This has been a long time. Well, so let's go back.
The specific thing of, I mean, you're very spiritual, but that thing, it's caught you.
It's caught me because I think it's time. I think everybody realizes, and we've talked about this, right? That Mother Nature, God Spirit is all put us in a giant timeout. And I think that now is the time. Many of us, not all of us, but many of us have learned a lot of lessons, and it's time for that spiritual awakening. I mean, you know, as a minister, right? Like the attendance at churches has gone down. There's, you know, I'm not going to get into politics, but there's a certain temperament and mentality out there that has gone to the negative side and toxic. And I think that, you know, and this is something I think we should explore sometimes too. Why did this happen in 2020? Is there a reason that this decade is starting out? Maybe this is the shift that's starting with an election, with everything. Exactly. Right? I know. That's how I feel. So maybe that's what it is. So for me, I really believe in my heart that people are craving. Hi, Barb. Barb, we're talking Carla.
Hi, Barb.
Carla asked me why I'm starting this series in May on spiritual awakening on my YouTube channel, and that's just one part of it that I'm doing. But I do think, and I think you guys will agree with me in my community, that there is this desire to get back to a higher power that is guiding us and with us and helping us and protecting us and steering us in the direction we need to be. So I think that's how it started.
Perfect. This is a perfect opening to what we're doing today.
Cool.
So I'm going to read a poem by, it's a poem by Anne Weems, who is a very well-known theological poet and thinker.
How do you spell her last name? Because I'm writing it. W-E-I-N-S?
No, E-E-M-S, Anne Weems. And this is called Come Unto Me. And please, anybody who wants to, hi, John. Hi, Liz, my sister. Thank God for these people. Anybody who wants to say something, just type it in the chat and we'll answer you back. Right, Allison?
Absolutely.
This is live TV. Okay. This is called Come Unto Me. When the journey gets too hard, when we feel depleted, when our compassion turns to complaining, when our efforts toward justice and mercy seem to get us nowhere, it's time to remember the humility part. That is God who has made us. It is God who has made us, and not we ourselves. That the saving of the world, or even one part of it, is not on our shoulders. It is then we can come unto God, and God will give us rest. With rest, we'll remember what it is we are about. And that's what you were talking about. So here we are in the middle of our pandemic journey, right? And it's encompassing the lives of all of us, not just our own personal households or our towns or our states or even the entire United States, but the entire globe. This is encompassing the globe, and it's daunting, and it's almost too much to bear. However, some people are doing their best to look positively and constructively at this, like you are this morning. And some people are reacting in a different way, and that is called denial. Now, denial is a perfectly commonplace reaction to stress. It's a perfectly common reaction to disaster and all things that emotionally challenge us. And I'm going to bet that there's no human being ever created by God who hasn't at some time been in the state of denial. We've all been there. And depending on the circumstances, it may have been a short visit in denial or an extended stay hotel of denial. There are things in my life that I had been in denial about for years and years and years. And I had to look at those things and forgive myself for just staying in that denial, as if denial was some kind of God of its own. It's comfy.
You know, it's interesting though. And I think I was having a talk with a girlfriend the other day about this. There's a difference between denial and choosing to focus on the path, right? And I talk about this a lot, about the
you froze.
Law of attraction. And I fear just because I don't like lima beans, somebody does. So we leave the lima beans on the salad bar, but I focus on the broccoli. I love the broccoli.
You don't like lima beans?
No.
I love lima beans.
I know there's people on here that know how I feel about lima beans.
Really? That's like a thing?
I digress about the lima beans. Yeah.
I'm not gonna make you a lima bean pie. Anyway, that denial thing is normal.
Yeah.
And so is but I think, just to your point, denial is normal and it's something that you automatically click into, whereas choosing is something that you do.
Yeah.
right? That's
Right.
the difference here.
That's a good point.
So anyway, let's see what I was thinking about. We're trying to find different coping mechanisms. Like I said to John, my husband, this morning, let's just get in the car with our masks and drive somewhere. I don't care where it is. Let's go upstate Connecticut. Let's just drive somewhere to get the F out of here, just to change our four walls, right? And I think that's important. Oh, I wanted to share this with you. This is something I wrote down that I wanted to share with you. I was on this minister's Zoom seminar the other day with this lady, and you should write this name down. Her name is Reverend Dr. Claire Bamberg, Bamberg. And she's an ordained UCC minister, but she's also a licensed health professional and coach. She's a kind of a psychologist or social worker. So she talked about, and I'm paraphrasing, as we venture through this wilderness, there are words that have become codified in our COVID-19 language, which are coping mechanisms, but they're not particularly helpful to some folks. And you will really like this, because I know that you're into special needs and stuff. If you're a person who is already experiencing anxiety and social distress, the phrase social distancing is very scary.
Yeah.
It's not helpful. The correct term is physical distancing. So we're physically distancing from each other, but we're socially connecting. What do you think about that?
Oh, I've been saying that all along. I completely agree. And yeah, like that's just the thought. And my husband has primary progressive MS, and that's prohibited us sometimes from visiting people, from going places. And
really?
Oh my God. Well,
even before this?
Hello, the house you're sitting in, we would love to visit. We can't.
I feel so awful about that, by the way.
I mean, but don't, because that's the way our unfortunately our society's been built. So yeah, we know that only too well.
Yeah. Well, so we all know the drill now. You wear your masks, and oh, by the way, masks is a whole topic. Before we couldn't use those. First, we couldn't use these masks. We weren't supposed to use these because these were supposed to go to hospitals and providers. But now we can, because they know that these are, not that great. They're okay.
Yeah.
As my friend Kathy Scheller, who I'd love to know if she was on here, who's a nurse, who's our friend, she said, this is very good for you not getting somebody else sick, but not particularly good for you not catching the bug. Although I think it's better than nothing. But then really creative people started coming up with great masks. Here's this.
Oh, I know.
My daughter sent me this.
I love that one.
Isn't it great? It's lemons.
It's so great.
Isn't it cute? And I enjoy wearing it too. Oh, there you go. So anyway, we're coming up with all these ingenious ways to cope with this whole thing. Hi, Patty Carroll. She's on. Patty Carroll is also a nurse. She's my sister. My sister-in-law? Sort of my sister-in-law. She's married to my husband's brother, who unfortunately is deceased. And I love Patty. We're like kindred spirits. And she said, physical distance feels much better. People are already, unfortunately, socially distant. You're right, Patty. That's
so true.
Right. So anyway, but our creativity is going to win out. And scientists and creative thinkers will uncover a cure. I trust that.
Oh, 100%. I don't doubt that at all.
But I do think that we need to look for unconventional resources. And I'm not talking about, who's really dumb suggestion.
Drinking laundry detergent.
Oh my God. What the? What was that? Did you see Dr. Bricks when he was saying that?
That poor woman. I don't know how she sat there.
Well, here's how I feel about it. If you really want to know the truth, I like her and I respect her, and she was on the forefront of the AIDS epidemic. She's really a great human being. However, there is a part of me that feels like when he's saying idiotic things like that or dangerous things like that, why doesn't she stand up and say no? Well, I know it's political. She needs to keep her job, blah, blah, blah. But
see, that's the problem, because, and we could have a whole conversation about that, because if she lost her job, then there'd be no one, right? So at least there's somebody there that can still have press conferences at some time and get something out. Otherwise, we'd be having Dr. Doolittle up there.
So what did Barbara say? Barbara said, I miss my friends and support system coming to me and sitting on my couch, Allison.
I know.
During chemo, social distancing has been very difficult. Oh, wow. Barbara, you're in chemo at the same time. That is very hard. You must have to keep a huge distance.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've been thinking about, Barb. I'm thinking of just like going outside your door.
Or her window, you mean?
Yeah.
And just hanging out?
Yeah.
Like on a nice day like yesterday, just park yourself in a folding chair?
Exactly.
With your phone?
Yep.
That's a good idea. What do you think about that?
Barb?
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe with a cocktail?
Absolutely for me.
And Jody said people are being forced to tap into their creativity. Boy, is that true. The other night we had a dinner party, just a real dinner party. We set the table with the tablecloth and candles and everything with Kathy and Brad Scheller, and they had their thing all set, and we had the computers up, and it was like we've had a little dinner party, just the four of us. It was so nice.
Yeah, you need to do things like that. And you're right. I mean, the creativity, we heard all these horns honking and firefighters and everything yesterday. I was like, what the heck was it? It was a daycare up the street, and they were going around the neighborhood visiting all the little kids, and they had the firefighters and all the horns.
That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, you got to be creative. In fact, I'm not really, I like to cook and I love to eat, but I've never in my life made stuffed zucchini. And the other night I made a stuffed zucchini. It was like, who is this person? Martha Stewart. It's like, it came out of nowhere. So I think that's good. And I think we need to keep doing those kind of unconventional creative things that will help us in our own personal psychology, but also hopefully some very creative person will come up with a cure or a vaccination for this. And that's what I'm banking on. And that's what we get back to Ann Weems's thing. She says, when the journey gets too hard, when we feel depleted, when our compassion turns to complaining, when our efforts towards justice and mercy seem to get us nowhere, it's time to remember the humility part. And that is also different. You were talking about the difference between denial and focus. Humility is one of those tricky things too. Like you don't want to be cowering in a corner. You don't want to be the poor little woman who can't do her own thing. But there is a place for saying, you know what? I am not in control of all of this. Take it from me, big guy or big woman, and help me to see that there is a better way, there is a better day coming, and I am open to it, but I can't control it. That's hard for you and me.
It's hard for most women. It's hard. And I'm not speaking out of turn here. When Barb and I have had those conversations, when you've been a caregiver all your life, to receive care is hard, man. It's hard to let that go and allow people to care for you. And oh my gosh.
For you?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't
absolutely
put that together.
I mean,
I love being cared for. Please come care for me. Anybody. I'm ready.
Well, the closest I got to it was when I went through my divorce and I was bankrupt and, so many things were happening all at once. And it was hard to say, I need help. And it was very emotional for me because I felt like I was a failure in some way. And to get over that feeling of failing, that you can't take care of everybody, you can't take care of yourself, you need someone to take care of you. There's definitely a feeling that humility has to come in. And I talk about that a lot, in my blog. And I talk about how we always are fighting the tide, right? We think we know where we need to go and we think we know what we need to do instead of just relaxing into it. So I always talk about don't fight the tide, ride the wave.
So Jody said, as women, it is difficult to ask for help.
Yeah. Jody, that's going to be one of our entire things in this spiritual awakening. because we need to ask for help from a higher power. We need to ask for help from each other.
So what is it that makes it difficult for women to ask for help? What is that?
Wow. Anybody? Anybody? I think
We're supposed to be the helpers only. We're only supposed to be the helpers.
well, I think it wraps up into a couple of things. We are by nature the caregivers. We're the moms. And John, I know you're on here and my husband's going to be watching at some point, but come on. Yeah, come on. We're the ones that keep the home running. I mean, great. My husband's great. When I travel a lot, he and my mom, but at the end of the day, it's me who knows where everybody needs to be, what everybody needs to be doing. And we are those ones. The other flip side, and I don't want to get into the political again, but, as women and as leaders, if we show any ounce of weakness, we're pounced on. If you look at any, look at how Elizabeth Warren, there's so many times where if there's an ounce of weakness, we're judged differently than a man.
So what about Elizabeth Warren? I don't see nothing weak about her.
I just think that look, no matter what you are politically, think about the words that are said with a woman. She was shrill. She was, they are looking at what she wore. God forbid she took a minute to be with her husband or had daycare challenges. We would be judged as a woman far differently.
Greg just said he's been here the whole time.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you for waking up, Greg. Love Greg. By the way, when's Greg's birthday?
February 7th.
Oh, it's over.
Yeah.
February 7th?
Yeah.
I think that's my father's birthday. Greg,
really?
Yes. Yes, that is my father's birthday. Weird.
Anyway. Julie made a good point. By allowing people to help you, you're allowing them to feel good about themselves by helping you. And it's so true.
By allowing people to help you, you are allowing them to feel good about themselves by helping you. Jody's right. Give somebody else a chance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and again, my husband knows he's the topic of many of my conversations and my blogs. But when we got married, he just was diagnosed with primary progressive MS. So he literally went from walking in our wedding to being in a wheelchair full time. And he was a pro golfer. He was an athlete. And there was talk about losing control and humility. And Barb knows this. She lived with us through this. It's very difficult to all of a sudden have to accept care and be humble about it. And all of you know too, I don't, suffer weakness well. And I told him I love him, I'll stand by him, but he's got to figure his F out. And I said, start volunteering, start giving back to somebody else. And he started doing golf lessons for people with intellectual disabilities, with military vets, with stroke victims. And he felt wonderful, right, honey? You did feel wonderful. But it's true. When you start volunteering and giving to others, it helps you as well. So, to people, and Barb, I know we've had these conversations too, but think of it this way. It's almost a gift when you're allowing somebody to do something for you. It's allowing them.
Bring it on. Absolutely. Bring it on. Did you hear that, honey? I'm talking to my husband now. Bring it on. And my sister said, let's see what she said. Giving up to God is getting easier for me as I get older and see how little control I have. It's a relief. It's a relief. That is really, talk about humility. Humility, that could be a whole topic too, Allison. Humility brings relief. Humility brings relief. That is so true.
Yeah. Hey, and to our community, and it's growing. I'm excited about that. Send in suggestions of what you would like to talk about. Humility, strength of women, caregiving, but, send in, reply what you'd like to talk about, because this is how we're all getting through it, right? We're finding these issues that we want to explore and uncover. And this is why, and Carla, I'm saying it again, this is why my community needs you, because you speak to us.
I speak to you. Good. I'm glad. I feel humble.
Yeah.
Speaking of giving, I wanted to do a shout out to my sister-in-law, Maura DeCourcy Dietz, who is at that hospital in New Jersey. I think it's called Mercy, which
No,
is
it's Holy Name.
Holy Name. Thank you. And I told you she was very sick with COVID, and she got over it and she went back to work, and she's in the ICU. She is just an amazing human being. And I really, that kind of courage is beyond.
Yeah. Thank you, Maura, for all you're doing. Thank you to
Amazing.
every person who is on here, grocery clerks, everybody who is taking a chance with their health and well-being to help. I'm so grateful for the people that are in my aunt's nursing home caring for her. And it's scary.
That is scary. Nursing homes are scary. Is she still there?
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Wow.
But, you know, a mom I know who works at Norwalk Hospital, she's a single mom and she's scared. If she gets sick, what happens to her daughter?
So I have a wonderful prayer for first responders that my sister sent me. And my sister's Episcopalian, so it's very Episcopalian, so just hang in there. It goes like this. This is called a prayer for first responders. And maybe we can close on this. Is this good?
Yes. Okay. Yes, perfect.
Blessed are you, Lord, God of mercy, who through your Son gave us a marvelous example of charity and the great commandment of love for one another. Send down your blessings on these, your servants, who so generously devote themselves to helping others. Grant them courage when they are afraid, wisdom when they must make quick decisions, strength when they are weary, and compassion in all their work. When the alarm sounds and they are called to aid both friend and stranger, let them faithfully serve you in their neighbor. We ask this through Christ our Lord and the one who came way before us. Amen.
Amen. Well, everybody have a great week. And Carla, I like your idea. Maybe we'll have to do a double date with Greg and John.
Oh, I'd love that. It was really fun. We had wine, we had candles. It was like we were out to dinner, and we saved a lot of money.
Exactly. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.
See ya. Love you.